Hello my fellow gamers, Gamerdude back once again with another episode in our Just the Facts series. So, of course, first of all, I want to open this episode by saying to my entire community and the entire world, I hope you are all staying well and keeping safe throughout this growing pandemic. We are all in this together and must adhere to the guidelines the governments of the world have set out for us, or the virus really isn't going away anytime soon. Now, I live in the UK. If you're a UK subscriber and you're watching from the UK, I know it's getting hot. I know we're in summertime now, but please, just don't be a dick about it, or they're just gonna continue with the lockdown and not ease any restrictions at all. So please just listen to the government and stay inside. So I also would like to pass on my deepest condolences for anyone watching in the future who may have lost a loved one due to the C virus. My gran came down with it, my granddad has it, so I do know what you're going through. I also would like to apologise for not streaming lately. Of course, you guys know I've had an agonising toothache for the last couple of weeks, and I seem to have managed to get a handle on it, so providing on how I feel, next week I think I'm going to drop a couple of live streams in. Even if they are really short, I'm still going to try my best to do a live stream, because Sims videos only go so far. You know, I'm getting bored of making them myself. So yeah, anyway. Moving on. Today we are going to be discussing whether or not it's actually going to be worth upgrading your PS4 or Xbox One to the next generation. We're also going to be discussing concerns surrounding the C virus and Sony's fumbles throughout the year due to this pandemic. So then, you guys all know too well that I am a full-on PlayStation guy. I don't do PC gaming, I don't play Xbox. In fact, if I'm being honest, I haven't really played any other console for a number of years. You know, I haven't played Nintendo Switch, I haven't played Game Boys, or anything like that. I've just been a PlayStation guy for many years now. However, the PS5, or rather the next generation systems in general, are kind of putting me off upgrading for the first time in the console's long history. I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like it's a bit too soon for an upgrade. You know, the PS4 is still a baby. It can still push out some great titles. I just think it's too soon to be forcing developers to bash out new games for new systems when the games we have for the current generation systems take years to develop and they still come out buggy and seemingly unfinished. So let me know what you guys think about that. Anyway, let's move on to discuss the matter at hand. Let's discuss everything I've found regarding the next-gen systems and if it's actually going to be worth upgrading when they come along. So, as I was mentioning earlier about the C virus, there are numerous fears all over the internet that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet will be delayed until 2021, maybe January, February time instead of December this year, due to the pandemic. Right now, Sony has specifically said it won't cause any problems. It will still be releasing for holiday of this year. Or for those of you in the rest of the world, not in America, that is Christmas. But at the moment, it is unclear how much the consoles are going to cost. Sony and Microsoft have been rather quiet on that, so I'm guessing they want to leave that bombshell until the very end. So it's safe to say they're not going to be cheap. But I guess I would suggest it will come with a £500 price tag, or for Americans about $600. But a couple of months ago, £500 seemed like a completely reasonable asking price for a new system. But with so much economic uncertainty due to the C virus, you know, £500 all of a sudden feels quite a lot bigger. But all of this begs the question, should you actually upgrade your PS4 to a PS5 or Xbox One to an Xbox Scarlet? In other words, I'm saying, will it be worth it as a whole? I can't really give you a solid answer on that yet, because we've only seen small snippets of what we can actually expect from them. But I guess I would say yes to getting one, but not at launch. I would say because of the problems with the economy right now, you're going to want to wait a little while. I mean, yeah, there will be those diehard fans that buy one immediately on launch, or buy several of them on launch just to sell more of them on eBay at a ridiculous price, because, you know, people do that now. Monsters. Absolute monsters. They're just not gamers. They're just cash grabbers. Ugh, hate people that do that. But my point is, it's not really going to be worth burning a hole in your pocket when it first comes out, due to the serious economic crash that the planet is going through because of this pandemic. But given everything that we do know about the console so far, it appears like it's going to be a good investment. Just like the PS4 and Xbox One was. I mean, never played the Xbox One, but I have heard, you know, that it was better than the 360, and, you know, so that's a positive, I suppose. But I do advise caution. With half-step iterations lengthening console generations, there's no rush to buy the PS5. Because it's more than likely, at launch, the game will come out with a couple of new games, yes, maybe a couple of launch titles, but you can expect a bunch of remastered games to come to it. Even though the PS5 is supposedly going to be backwards compatible, you can expect a lot of port over games, a lot of remastered this, remastered that, and it's like, why remaster something when you can just play it backwards compatible? It just doesn't make a whole lick of sense, and, you know, it's just another cash grab from gaming companies due to a bad economy through this virus. But whether it releases in December this year or next year, it's entirely up to you. You know, you've still got a lot of time to decide whether or not you're going to get one straight away. Now, whether it be 400, 500, 600 or even £1,000, the PS5 or Xbox Scarlet is going to be pricey no matter what, especially given the current economic crisis, as I've been mentioning throughout this video. But add an extra controller, a few games, and a new 4K TV to match the gaming setup, and all of a sudden you're looking at a huge investment, because supposedly the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet will not work unless you have a 4K television. So if you've got an old box-back television, or if you've got an old plasma screen TV that doesn't support 4K, unfortunately, this isn't confirmed yet, I'm just going off what I've heard, you will not be able to play the new systems, which is a bit of a dick move. I mean, I get the graphics are going to be advanced and whatnot, but it's still a bit of a dick move. You know, for some, the investment will definitely be worth it. I mean, as I've said, I'm a PlayStation guy, so eventually I will probably get one, just not straight away. But for others, waiting may definitely be the best choice for you. Now, as mentioned earlier, Sony haven't really disclosed a price point for the PS5. And as I said, it's probably because it's going to be super expensive and they want to drop that bombshell on us about a week before it actually launches. Maybe even a day before it actually launches, because Sony just like to be dramatic like that. It is also likely that it won't, we won't see a price release at all until the day it comes out, but we just don't know yet. But even if the console does get delayed, maybe they'll drop the price on us because it gets delayed. I don't know, I'm just throwing a speculation there. But the latest reports about both systems claims that the console will cost roughly, and this is in US currency, $450 to manufacture it. That said, this is the cost before packaging, shipping, wholesales, and retailers taking their general cuts. So, in other words, $450 isn't the final cost of shipping the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet will take. It is, unfortunately, only the beginning. As a result, as I said earlier, it is safe to assume both systems will cost around £500 to £600. If you're in America, that translates roughly to about, if it's £500, that's probably about $600. If it's £600, that's probably about $720 or something daft like that. I don't know. I'm not good with currency. Look it up. This, of course, as I said again, this may seem like a lot of money. I mean, it is a lot of money. However, it's actually not that much more than the PS4's launch price. The PS4's launch price in the UK was $395.99. So that's not bad. But when you factor in inflation, because the PS4 came out 4 years ago, so obviously they're going to make a huge price jump on it, and the fact that the economy for the entire world is in complete shambles right now, it's safe to say that the price will soar and be considerably more than what I'm speculating and what everyone else over the internet is speculating as well. For now, though, we don't know how much the console's actually going to be. But it looks like it will be a similar price, if not a couple of £100 more expensive than the original PlayStation console. Again, that's factoring in inflation. Now, here's something I also mentioned earlier briefly. It's about port over games and launch games. Every week, the list of every PS5 game confirmed so far grows. Most games in development for the PS5 are also in development for multiple platforms. So I'm guessing that means Nintendo Switch, Xbox Scarlet, etc. Meanwhile, for the first couple of years of the PS5's lifespan, many games will be cross-gen releases. So that's a great thing because, say for example Marvel Spider-Man was a PS4 exclusive. Maybe Marvel Spider-Man 2 will then be a cross-platform game, and then eventually they'll bring out a remaster of Spider-Man PS4 for the cross-platform part of things. So that's a good thing, because I don't really like having to say, oh, I've got a PlayStation, it's so much better because we've got better exclusives. I don't like saying that, but it's the one reason I get a PlayStation, because we have better exclusives. I mean, yeah, Xbox diehard fans might say, oh, Halo is so much better, but no, it's not. I hate Halo. I don't know why people like Halo. It's a first-person Call of Duty rip-off with aliens. It's just ridiculous. I'm probably going to get some hate for that. But in other words, they will hit both the Xbox One, Xbox Scarlet, PS4, and PS5. However, there will still be plenty of games exclusive to both consoles at and around launch. I mean, it's even been said that developers are still going to continue making games exclusive for the PS4 and Xbox Scarlet, because developers just aren't ready to take on that next step for making games for those specific platforms. Because I think deep down, developers know that people aren't going to be wanting to get the next gen system straight away, because it's just going to be basically, oh well, why would I want to do that when it's just backwards compatible when I can just play it on my old system in the first place in 4K? Why does it matter? It's not going to make a difference. You know what I'm saying there, guys? But of course, every game will also look and run better on the PS5 when compared to the PS4. But again, it brings me back to my point. It's the same game, If it's just a backwards compatibility thing that they've put into it, then it's still the same game, and it's just going to look virtually identical to what it does on the PS4 and Xbox One. But at the moment of publishing, the following games have officially been confirmed for the PS5. So I've not picked this up off Reddit or anything like that. These have been officially confirmed by Sony. So we have Godfall, Quantum Error, Gods and Monsters, Gothic Remake. I didn't even know Gothic was a thing, so apparently it's getting remade now. Outriders, Rainbow Six Quarantine, that's great for any Rainbow Six fan. A new Lord of the Rings game called Gollum. Watch Dogs Legion, of course, we expected that. Dying Light 2, Cyberpunk 2077, WRC 9, World Rally Championship, if you don't know what WRC stands for, Lords of the Fallen 2, and Microman. Now, there are a couple of games in that list that are actually coming out for this generation, so I'm guessing they'll just get port-overs or they'll get remastered for the full experience of the next-gen games. As for PlayStation's first-party games, there's a peninsula or a large chasm, let's say, of rumours pointing towards a Silent Hill reboot and a new Ratchet & Clank game, also a remake of Demon's Souls, as well as Horizon Zero Dawn and a reboot of XCOM. That was those weird alien game things. I only played one of them and I didn't like it. Of course, with it being a new PlayStation console, there's going to be a new Gran Turismo game. Now, I really hope there isn't, because Gran Turismo Sport was terrible. If you're a PlayStation fan and you know about the Gran Turismo games, you know they ruined Gran Turismo Sport because they made it all completely online and totally ruined it and added everything in after it had launched. So it just doesn't... It's just not a Gran Turismo game in my opinion. It's just terrible. Now then, not only is it unclear if these games are in development at the moment, but whether or not they will actually be launch titles due to the growing pandemic. Because of the pandemic, the gaming and film industry has just come to a complete stop. You know, there's nothing new getting produced at the moment. People are still working from home, but they are working from home on projects that were already in development. You know, they're working on tiny little steps to get them going a little bit further. But anything new that was planned or still on the drawing board just isn't getting made because nobody can make them. You know, there's nobody in the offices to make them. But as you would expect, the next-gen systems will be subsequently more powerful than the last. If you think about it now, the PS4, and the Xbox One, they're kind of largely outdated at this point, given they both launched back in 2013. So that's quite a stab away. That's over 5 years ago. Now, talking about the PS5 specs, I didn't bother pulling up the Xbox specs because, again, I'm a PlayStation guy, so it's all about PlayStation for me. The CPU for the PS5 will feature an 8-core, 16-thread, up to 3.5 GHz of frequency. GPU is 36 CUs at 2.23 GHz and 10.3 TFLOPs. That's variable frequency. The memory will be significantly higher than the PS4 at 16 gigabytes. That's the memory of the console overall, not the actual internal memory. If it was just 16 gigabytes, we'd all be screaming Bloody Mary at that, but you know what I mean. Speaking of that, the internal storage is going to be a lot higher than the PS4 as well, at 825 gigabytes, a significant increase from the 400 gigabytes that came with the original PlayStation 4. Of course, they will probably release another version of the PS5 which features a 1TB hard drive like they did with the PS4 Pro, featuring the 1TB hard drive. It will also allow you to input an external storage device like the PS4s do, so that's also great if you run out of space. It's got an optical drive for Ultra HD Blu-ray discs, and it's got a video output of 4K only, as well as 8K if you've got an 8K television. So, again, as I was saying earlier, that means you probably will not be able to play the new system on an older television. If you've got a big back television, then you've no chance. If you've got an older flat screen television like me, then again, you've no chance, because my TV, sometimes it likes to be in 1080p, and then sometimes it's like, no, I'm going to switch back to 1080i. So I think the 1080p section of my TV is broken. So I'm just stuck with 1080i, which is similar to 1080p, which is similar to 4K, but it's just a little bit lower in resolution. Now, if you compare that to the PS4 Pro specs, the CPU has 8 Jaguar cores at 2.1 GHz, The GPU is 36 CUs at 911 megahertz. Memory, of course, is 8 gigabytes with the internal storage of 1 terabyte. External storage devices, optical drive is Blu-ray, and video output is 4K. So it's safe to say that the PS5 is simply way more powerful. While the PS4 Pro does offer 4K gaming, you aren't going to experience the same bump in frame rate as you will on the PS5. Meanwhile, the biggest difference between the PS5 specs and the specs of the PS4 Pro and the PS4 is the former's SSDs. One of the biggest advancements in gaming technology in quite a long time. In short, the PS5's SSD device will drastically reduce loading times. I mean, if you saw the video a couple of months back of them loading the prototype on the PS5, it was a version of Spider-Man, and they did it side by side with the PS4 Pro as well. The PS4 Pro, I think it took about 12 seconds, and on the PS5 it took something like 4 seconds. So it's significantly more powerful. Download times will also be significantly reduced, and this will allow developers to do things not possible on the current gen systems. There is a reason why developers are calling the PS5 one of the most revolutionary consoles ever designed. And just by looking at the specs, I would have to agree. So, of course, the controllers for the PS5 are completely different. We've got DualSense instead of a DualShock. The PS5 controller doesn't just boast a new look, which looks a bit weird to be fair. It's kind of got a modern day retro look to it, which looks a bit strange. But it features that make it different and improved look on the PS4 controller. The DualSense features both adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. Two things the DualShock 4 doesn't and never could have implemented. You can actually read about these features on Sony's website because they have posted a lot regarding the controller. Unfortunately, we won't know this until we actually get our hands on the controller, but for the PS5, Sony isn't just updating the console, but the controller as well, which is also a great snippet, because the controller design for the PlayStations have been relatively identical since the PS1. So a lot of people are going to be asking, is the PS5 better? Well, of course, it's going to be better, it's new. But it's more powerful, so it's probably going to cause a lot more problems than the PS4 did. But, you know, you've got to think to yourself, there's no rush, you know. There was no great reason to buy a PS4 at launch in 2013 because nothing really came out that caught people's eye. And again, there's no great reason to cop a PS5 at launch because from what we've seen, there's no reason to get it at launch because there's nothing catching anybody's eye coming with it. And with many games scheduled to be cross-gen releases, you can certainly squeeze a couple more years out of your PS4. You may miss a couple of PS5 exclusives, like, I don't know, maybe a new Batman game or something like that, or a new Spider-Man game, but you can always return to these in a later generation. The PS5 is notably improved over the PS4. Enough said. You know, we don't need to say any more on it. So I think I'm going to wrap this one up. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I hope I expanded your gaming knowledge and gave you an inside look into the future generation. So, as I said earlier, I'm going to be trying to do some live streams next week because I seem to have got a handle on my toothache on my own with the dentist closed, with some practicing self-surgery. So, shout out to all subscribers, old and new. Thank you all so much for the love and support. I really do appreciate it. And I will, of course, continue to bring you the best content I can. If you are new to the channel and enjoyed this video or any of my other content, make sure you smash that like button and drop me a subscribe. I always sub back to new subscribers and view any content you may be producing. So that being said, this has been Just the Facts with yours truly. Happy gaming, and I shall catch you all in the next one, guys.